who's his father. Wynand, who's like his spiritual blood brother. Mallory, who's like his kid brother. Dominique, of course, his wife. This is Roark's family. And, his blood family, in this case, doesn't even exist. Family, again, as Ayn Rand is pointing out here, family's values. It's not blood. It can be blood, but it's the people you choose. I see a hand in the back.
If Keating had the choice, he would have chosen or not chosen to have his own mother?
It's a good question. If Keating had the choice, would he have chosen his mother? I have no way of knowing that. Certainly the way he turns out, he's such a mama's boy that he might have chosen her. But if he weren't a mama's boy, would he have chosen her? But he's a mama's boy to some degree because of her, and a mama's boy to some degree because of the choices he made. Let's put it this way. If I had my choice, I wouldn't choose her for my mother. I don't think Howard Roark would choose her for his mother. A rational Peter Keating would not choose her for his mother. But would Peter Keating choose her? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Yes?
I have a question about Roark's family life. This is prevalent in several of Ayn Rand's works, that we never see what a new family would be for her heroes. You have Roark, who is working, but ultimately, say he has children. Would he also lay no claim on them? Would he also attempt to have no influence over them because he conveniently has absolutely no connection to his past family? She never addresses that sort of relationship, which is real, whether you want it or not.
I think Ayn Rand's point here is that family is something you choose. So it's not convenient that she doesn't show his biological family. It's to stress a point. It's a deliberate choice on her part, namely that Roark is not Roark because of family influence on him. Roark is Roark because of Roark. And Roark would be Roark even if he had Mrs. Keating as his mother. Roark would never kowtow to his mother or father. He never sacrificed his values. He'd tell them, if they want him to give up architecture for something else, his attitude would be, I will see you dead before I will give up what makes my life worth living. And if he had that kind of family, he'd disown them as when he got to be an adult. He might come out of it scarred. He may need to work on the psychological damage done by such a family, but he would never surrender his values to such a family. And this is the kid whose home life is like World War III. If you remember the Robin Williams film Dead Poets Society, the Neil Perry character who commits suicide because his father insisted he be a doctor, he wanted to be an actor. Neil Perry in Dead Poets Society would not do what Peter Keating did. He would not give up his dream. But he would not do what Howard Roark did either. He didn't stand up to his father. He committed suicide instead. The Peter Keating in that family kowtows to his dad, gives up his dreams. The Howard Roark in that family tells his father to kiss off. I'm going to be 18. I got to go along with you until I'm 18. When I'm 18, I'm out of here. You're never going to see me again unless you change your attitudes. You're never going to speak to me again unless you change your attitudes. And I'm going to do with my life what I love. And you could go to blazes. So that's one point.
How do you become a Howard Roark then?
Wait, let me finish. That is the big point. How do you become a Howard Roark? You identify what you love, and you hold on to it against all comers, including mom and dad. You never surrender it. You may have to go along with mom and dad when you're a kid, but you have the eyes on the prize. At 18 years old, I'm out of here. And if you want a relationship with me, you're going to have to accept it on my terms. It's my way or it's the bleeping highway. And you tell your mom that, when you're a teenager, you make it clear, I don't surrender my values. And if you want a relationship with me, you acknowledge me. Not vice versa. And so you identify what you love, and you never give it up, no matter what. That's how you become Howard Roark. And a family who loves their children has to understand that. You don't mold your children in accordance with what you want them to be. You help them identify what it is that they love, assuming it's some life-promoting It's actually a rational value. It actually promotes human life. And then you support them in any way you possibly can because you know that's what your child loves and that's what will make your child happy. Now, if the Howard Roarks and the Dominique Francons of the world choose to bring children into the world, they recognize the responsibility that goes with that. They don't neglect their children. They recognize that a child needs endless supervision, and that mom and dad have to be an emotional as well as a moral, intellectual presence in the child's life. And the relationship is about values. And they encourage the child from a very early age, identify what you love, and mom and dad will be here to support you. You want to play baseball, you want to be a violinist, you want to be a gym teacher, you want to drive a truck, you want to get married, you don't want to get married, what's going to make you happy, and we're with you on that. So that's what I think the Howard Roarks and Dominique Francons do with their own children, should they choose to have them, is they encourage the child's independence, they encourage the child's value orientation. They do not mold them in accordance with what they want the child to do. They don't do what Niels Perry's dad did in Dead Poets Society because medicine is a good profession and he chooses medicine, therefore the kid's got to go into that field. That's enormously destructive. Well, we're running out of time. Let me finish this. Now, notice then, Roark's highest value is architects, even more than his family members. His highest value is his real family members, Dominique and Wynand et al. His highest value is architecture. Now, where would we place money on this list? Well, it would be somewhere up there, right? Money's a value to Roark. He doesn't give his designs away for free. He expects to get paid. He, like any honest man, knows he has to support himself. So money would be somewhere on the list, but it would be further down, right? It's not off the list altogether, but it's not nearly as important to him as architecture. Money's a means to his ends. His ends is to build. What about recognition? The things he would get from the Manhattan Bank building. Well, recognition generally is not a value of Roark's, but under certain conditions, if it comes from people whose judgment he respects, from Cameron, from Dominique, from Wynand, from people he respects and loves, yes, it's a value. But as important to him as my work done my way? No. And the recognition of society in general? Probably off the list. Or certainly much further. Actually, if society recognizes the merit of his buildings and sees it, then I think it's, yeah, that's a value to Roark. But not as important to him as the integrity of his design. So, when he says to Riedler and the board, that was the most selfish thing you've ever seen a man do, Roark's value hierarchy explains the exact meaning of that. What he's saying to the board is, you have just seen a man remain true and in action, not just in theory, to his highest values, in action, not just in theory, and under extreme financial duress. You have just seen a man remain true to his highest value, the integrity of his design. Roark has refused to give up his highest value, the integrity of his design, in order to gain lesser values or lower values. Ayn Rand defines a sacrifice as surrendering a higher value for a lesser value or a non-value. A sacrifice is surrendering a higher value for a lesser value or a non-value. If what you give up is not a value to you, it's not a sacrifice. And the key point here is, if Roark surrendered the integrity of his design in order to gain money and fame, he would be making a sacrifice. He would be giving up a higher value to him for much less important values, much less important values. And he refuses to make the sacrifice. If a man's self is defined by his values and the judgment that he used to choose those values, then you have just seen a man that's the most selfish thing you've ever seen a man do. You've just seen an individual remain true to his self, to his highest values. In Hamlet, Polonius utters the immortal line to his son Laertes, "To thine own self be true." And it follows as the night the day, that thou canst not then play false with any man. To thine own self be true. Ayn Rand's given us a textbook in this scene on what that looks like in reality. You've just seen a man do exactly that. To thine own self be true. And that's what it means to say this is selfish. Now, Notice something. I get questions from good students all the time. Well, why can't Roark compromise just this once, right? Get himself set up, and then he could be choosy about, what buildings he's going to design. Why go work in close his office and go work in a granite court? That's a very good question. Couple of points in regards to the answer. First of all, what they say, the proof is in the pudding. If Roark lets them adulterate his design, is this something he's going to be proud of? Every time he looks at that building, he's going to have to. It's right in the middle of New York City. every time he thinks about it, even if it were in the desert in Arizona, every time he thinks about it, it's going to be with a sense of shame. Oh God, how did I let them do that to my baby? It's not something that's going to make him happy or proud. The exact opposite. This is going to be something that makes him ashamed and very unhappy. Second point. This building will attract clients to him. But clients of what kind? Will it attract the clients who want a real Roark building? Will it attract the Hellers? What did Heller think of Snite's, amendments to Roark's building? Will it attract the Wynands, the Enrights, the Anthony Cords, the Kent Lansings? No, it'll repulse them. It's going to take Roark 20 years to live down this building. It's right in the heart of New York City. Roark understands. Every building he puts up is advertising. It's a great work in and of itself. It's advertising to his future clients. How does he draw clients? Wynan traveled around the country. Every time he saw a building he liked, it was Roark. Every building he puts up is not just an end in itself. It's advertising. This is not going to attract his kind of clients. It's going to make it more difficult for him in the future to attract his kind of clients, not less difficult. Roark understands. What the pragmatists never understand is that only by holding principles and sticking to your principles, sticking to your guns, this is your only chance at practical success in this world. You can't gain practical success by selling your principles or your soul. There's nothing left of you to savor the success that you reach. So this is the sense in which what Roark means when he says that was the most selfish thing you've ever seen a man do. He's absolutely right. It's selfish in the literal sense. He's true to his self. Now, in the few minutes remaining, let's do Keating, the foil, the contrast. Keating, of course, there's good news and bad news with Keating. The good news is he has values. The bad news is he betrays them. He wants to be a painter. He gives it up. Not because he thinks architecture is better suited to him and it'll make him happier, but because Mommy wants him to. And Mommy wants respectability. Right? Mrs. Keating thinks that, painting is a bohemian lifestyle. You're down on the, in Soho with, sipping espresso and, torn jeans and paint-splattered sweatshirts and have naked models in your, studio. It's the bohemian lifestyle. But architects, at least the successful ones, they have offices out here on Park Avenue, and they wear three-piece, double-breasted, navy blue Brooks Brothers suits, and they draw their client base off the social register. Architecture is respectable. So notice Keating's dual abdication here. He not only gives up what he wants to satisfy Mommy's expectations, but he gives up what he wants to satisfy Mommy's expectations of society's expectations. Now he goes into architecture, which is a good field in and of itself, but doesn't love it. Roark loves it. Keating doesn't. So he gets all Lucius High money, becomes wealthy, but he's bored. His career is not a career. It's a job. It's tedious to him. So his last chance at long-term happiness is love. And he loves Catherine Halsey. And she loves him. How do we know he loves her? She's the one person he won't use. Right? Wynand says that love is the exception making. Meaning you'll do for the person you love things you wouldn't do for anybody else, so it wouldn't be a sacrifice because you love that person so much. Keating wants to meet Ellsworth Toohey, desperately. Could meet her easily through Katie. Refuses to do it. So I use people, Katie. I don't want to do that to you. He keeps it pure. And yet he dumps her